January 1934. A pale winter sun barely breaks through the clouds over the small town of Suhl, Germany. The streets are quiet, blanketed in frost, with only the distant clatter of tools echoing from a workshop at the edge of town. Inside, a single lantern casts long shadows over benches cluttered with steel parts, gears, and spools of fine wire. A young German engineer bends over a workbench, sweat beading despite the chill. His hands are steady, precise, as he fits a finely machined bolt into a mechanism unlike anything seen on the battlefields of Europe. The smell of oil and gunpowder mingles in the air. Outside, soldiers march past, their boots crunching on icy cobblestones, unaware that in this quiet workshop, the blueprint for a revolution in warfare is taking shape. One of them stops, peering through the frosted window. His breath fogs the glass. In that moment, he sees not just a weapon, but the future of firepower, a machine gun simple enough to mass produce, yet deadly precise, capable of reshaping infantry combat forever. The echoes of these first tests would soon ripple across continents. The world that emerged from the ruins of the First World War was fragile and tense. Germany, defeated and humiliated, faced the crushing weight of the Treaty of Versailles. Signed in 1919, the treaty imposed strict limitations on the size of the German military, banned heavy artillery and tanks, and restricted the production of certain weapons, including machine guns. For German engineers and military strategists, this was both a constraint and a challenge. How could a nation denied the right to produce modern weapons prepare for defense, let alone wage war? By the early 1920s, Germany's industrial heart still beat beneath the constraints of occupation. Factories that once churned out mass artillery turned to civilian goods, yet the knowledge of precision engineering remained. In workshops hidden in small towns like Suhl, Oberndorf, and Zellermales, a new generation of engineers and gunsmiths began experimenting with automatic weapons. They sought simplicity, reliability, and efficiency, qualities that would later define the MG34. The interwar period also saw rapid global advancements in small arms. Britain relied heavily on the venerable Vickers machine gun, a water-cooled design that had dominated the trenches of WWI. France deployed the Hotchkiss M1914, another water-cooled design, while the United States fielded the Browning automatic rifle and the M1917 water-cooled machine gun. These designs were effective but heavy, cumbersome, and difficult to produce in large numbers. German engineers realized that any modern infantry weapon needed to be lighter, faster to manufacture, and adaptable to multiple roles. By 1929, clandestine experiments had begun under the supervision of the Reichswehr. Small workshops tested air-cooled, belt-fed mechanisms, focusing on modularity. Engineers like Heinrich Vollmer and the Mauser design teams pioneered new approaches: interchangeable barrels, simplified recoil systems, and finely tuned feed mechanisms. Each prototype was tested rigorously, often under harsh winter conditions, to ensure reliability. Soldiers participated as volunteers, firing hundreds of rounds in freezing winds, learning to disassemble, clean, and maintain weapons in minutes. These tests would later define the operational doctrine of the MG34. Economics played a crucial role. Germany's industrial output was recovering, but cost efficiency remained paramount. A machine gun priced at $100, roughly equivalent to a month's wages for many German workers, would allow mass production without overburdening limited resources. Every bolt, spring, and barrel had to justify its cost in performance and longevity. The result was a weapon that was simple to manufacture, yet remarkably precise, capable of sustaining prolonged fire without jamming. Meanwhile, political pressures mounted. The rise of the National Socialist Party in 1933 accelerated rearmament, even before Hitler openly defied Versailles. The Reichswehr, now transforming into the Wehrmacht, demanded weapons that could equip a modern, mobile army. Infantry squads needed a central firepower element, a machine gun light enough to be carried, yet deadly enough to dominate a battlefield. The MG34, still in prototype stages, promised exactly that. Across Europe, other nations were observing. Reports of German experimentation filtered through intelligence networks. Soviet engineers noted air-cooled designs that could achieve high rates of fire. The British War Office calculated the logistical nightmare of fielding water-cooled weapons in fast-moving mechanized campaigns. And in the United States, the Ordnance Department quietly benchmarked German prototypes against the bar, recognizing that innovation was moving toward light, flexible automatic weapons. By the mid-1930s, the MG34 had moved from workshop tables to formal military trials. Soldiers and engineers worked side by side, pushing the weapon to extremes, firing hundreds of rounds without barrel replacement, testing belt feeds under muddy conditions, and disassembling the gun in seconds. Each failure informed a redesign. Each success confirmed a revolutionary shift in small arms philosophy. The MG34 was not just another machine gun. It was a weapon designed to embody precision engineering, tactical versatility, and economic feasibility, a combination that would make it a template for the world. As winter faded into spring in 1935, Germany's army was quietly preparing for the future. A weapon born from constraints, innovation, and necessity was nearing readiness. Its influence would soon extend far beyond the borders of the Reich, reshaping infantry tactics and inspiring armies across the globe. The stage was set, but before the MG34 could leave workshops and enter battle, it had to prove itself, and its first trials would determine the direction of modern warfare. By 1935, the MG34 had moved beyond experimental prototypes. German engineers, now operating under the expanding Wehrmacht, had refined its design to near perfection, air-cooled, belt-fed, with quick-change barrels and a rate of fire that could overwhelm infantry and suppress enemy positions. But the story of the MG34 did not exist in isolation. Across Europe, nations were racing to modernize their armies, each evaluating how the new generation of German weapons could shape their own doctrines. France maintained its reliance on water-cooled Hotchkiss designs, robust but heavy and poorly suited for mobile warfare. Britain's Vickers guns remained effective but were cumbersome for mechanized campaigns, and the bar in American service was limited in rate of fire and versatility. The Soviet Union, observing from the East, noted the German focus on precision and portability. Intelligence reports highlighted the MG34's innovative features: a quick-change barrel system, a tripod or bipod mounting for squad flexibility, and a sophisticated yet simple recoil mechanism. These elements signaled a shift in the philosophy of infantry firepower. Germany itself was rapidly preparing for an inevitable conflict. Rearmament, once clandestine, became official policy. Infantry training manuals began emphasizing machine gun coordination within squads, the MG34 as a central node around which fire and movement were organized. Its versatility allowed it to serve as a light machine gun in the hands of squads, or a sustained fire weapon mounted on a tripod to defend positions or support armored units. The ability to adapt to multiple roles made it indispensable for the Wehrmacht's evolving doctrine of blitzkrieg. The international military community watched with interest and concern. Many armies had not yet fully embraced the concept of a high-rate-of-fire, multi-role machine gun. Germany's approach demonstrated a new principle. One weapon could replace the cumbersome mix of heavy and light machine guns, creating logistical simplicity and tactical flexibility. Engineers in Britain, France, and the Soviet Union examined captured prototypes, comparing materials, tolerances, and firing mechanisms. Reports emphasized the MG34's combination of low weight, high precision, and manufacturing economy, a balance that would soon become the standard for modern automatic weapons. Industrial capacity played a key role in the MG34's significance. Germany, constrained by Versailles for nearly 2 decades, had learned to maximize efficiency. Factories in Suhl, Erfurt, and Oberndorf produced components with high precision, relying on advanced machining techniques that minimized waste. Assembly lines were optimized for speed, ensuring that hundreds of weapons could be delivered to the army with minimal cost per unit, roughly $100 each. This affordability made the MG34 not only a technical marvel, but also a strategic asset, capable of equipping an army at scale. By 1938, the MG34 had been widely adopted throughout the German army. Its presence was felt in training grounds, barracks, and field exercises, where infantry squads drilled with the weapon under all weather conditions. Soldiers learned to disassemble and maintain it quickly, fire in bursts to prevent overheating, and coordinate suppressive fire with infantry maneuvers. Commanders recognized that this small but powerful machine gun could determine the outcome of engagements, giving well-trained squads the ability to dominate fields of fire against larger, less coordinated forces. The impact of the MG34 extended beyond Germany's borders. When World War II erupted in September 1939 with the invasion of Poland, the effectiveness of German small arms was immediately apparent. Captured MG34s impressed Allied forces, sparking both concern and inspiration. Engineers in the United States, Britain, and the Soviet Union began studying German designs to influence their own weapon development programs. From this point, the MG34 became a global benchmark, a template that nations would attempt to replicate, improve, or counter in the years to come. By the dawn of 1940, the MG34 had transcended its origins as a workshop prototype. It was now a tool of war, an instrument of strategy, and a symbol of German ingenuity. Its design philosophy, simplicity, reliability, versatility, and mass producibility would define small arms development for decades. Yet, the weapon's true impact would only be measured on the battlefields where men faced fire, metal, and chaos. The story of the MG34 was no longer confined to workshops or training fields. It was about to collide with history, testing its engineering, its tactics, and the resolve of those who wielded it. The MG34 represented a leap in engineering simplicity and versatility. Unlike the cumbersome water-cooled designs that dominated World War I, it was air-cooled, allowing soldiers to carry it into the field without heavy support equipment. Its quick-change barrel system was revolutionary. A machine gun could fire hundreds of rounds, overheat, and be back in action in a matter of seconds. Precision machined components from the bolt carrier to the feed tray ensured reliability under sustained fire, even in mud, snow, or rain. Every detail was calculated. The MG34 could be configured for single-shot precision or high-rate automatic fire exceeding 800 rounds per minute. Bipod or tripod mounts allowed it to serve as both a squad-level weapon and a sustained fire platform. Tolerances were tight, yet the design permitted rapid disassembly without specialized tools. This combination of adaptability, durability, and efficiency was unprecedented. Engineers had also solved the problem of mass production. Each weapon could be manufactured at a fraction of the cost of its contemporaries, roughly $100 per unit, while retaining exceptional accuracy and rate of fire. The MG34 was not only a weapon of war, it was a triumph of industrial design, marrying advanced metallurgy, ergonomic efficiency, and tactical foresight into a single, portable package. Tactical angle. The MG34's technological brilliance translated directly into battlefield dominance. German military doctrine emphasized combined arms and maneuver warfare, and the MG34 became the linchpin of infantry squads. Each squad carried a light machine gun, its high rate of fire transforming the infantry unit into a miniature fortress capable of both offense and defense. During training exercises, soldiers learned to synchronize movement and fire, One squad would advance under the suppressive fire of the MG-34, while others flanked enemy positions. Its presence altered the rhythm of battle. A single gun could pin down an entire platoon, forcing opposing units to adapt or retreat. Commanders began restructuring squads to integrate the MG-34 as the center of tactical operations, replacing multiple heavy and light machine guns with a single versatile weapon. The MG-34 also allowed rapid redeployment. Lightweight and modular, it could be moved with infantry or mounted on vehicles for mechanized assaults. In early campaigns, Poland 1939, France 1940, its firepower defined the tempo of engagements. Soldiers reported that enemy lines often faltered under the sheer volume of precise, continuous fire. In essence, the MG-34 became a force multiplier. A single weapon multiplied the effectiveness of an entire squad. Human angle. The men who wielded the MG-34 experienced both awe and fear. For German soldiers, it was a symbol of efficiency and power. They trained relentlessly, mastering rapid barrel changes, accurate burst fire, and coordination with fellow infantrymen. Young recruits learned that the MG-34 demanded discipline. Even a minor error could jam the weapon, costing lives. For opposing soldiers, the MG-34 was terrifying. Polish and French troops, encountering it for the first time, described it as relentless and unforgiving. Its staccato bursts could pin down entire units, while its mobility allowed it to appear anywhere on the battlefield. Letters and memoirs from Allied soldiers frequently mentioned the psychological impact of facing German squads armed with MG-34s. It was not merely a tool of destruction. It was a force that shaped behavior, slowed advances, and reshaped the human experience of combat. The MG-34 also transformed leadership at the squad level. NCOs who mastered its capabilities gained authority, as their ability to direct fire and maneuver could dictate the outcome of skirmishes. Soldiers depended on the gun not only for protection but for strategy, understanding that a single properly placed MG-34 could hold an entire ridge, cover a retreat, or provide the opening for an assault. Human adaptation became inseparable from technological mastery. Transition to Section 2 of Angles. The MG-34's brilliance was not limited to its design or immediate tactical use. Its influence extended beyond German units to the enemies who observed, adapted, and sometimes feared it. Likewise, the decisions of German commanders and the moral weight it imposed on soldiers added layers of consequence. These perspectives, enemy reaction, leadership, and moral impact, reveal the full scope of the MG-34's role in shaping warfare. The MG-34's impact on opposing forces was immediate and profound. Allied soldiers encountering it for the first time often mistook it for multiple weapons due to its volume of fire. Polish units in September 1939, for example, reported entire defensive lines suppressed by what seemed like endless bursts. The combination of high rate of fire, accuracy, and mobility forced enemy commanders to rethink conventional tactics. Captured MG-34s were meticulously examined. British and French engineers noted the air-cooled barrel and modular design, while Soviet technicians studied the quick-change barrel system. The weapon's influence was felt in training manuals across Europe. Armies began experimenting with similar high rate of fire, light machine guns. In some cases, the MG-34's very presence dictated strategy. Units hesitated to advance without artillery support, knowing that a single well-placed gun could decimate infantry formations. Even psychologically, the MG-34 loomed large. Soldiers recalled the ping of rounds from its belt feed, the steady staccato that seemed impossible to escape. In early engagements, panic often spread faster than actual casualties. Commanders realized that facing German squads armed with MG-34s required suppression, flanking, or withdrawal tactics that added layers of complexity and slowed operations. In this way, the weapon's reach extended beyond bullets. It altered behavior and decision-making on the battlefield. Leadership angle. For German officers, the MG-34 was more than a tool. It was a force multiplier that allowed small unit commanders to execute bold strategies. Platoon leaders structured squads around it, using the weapon to anchor fire and maneuver. NCOs trained in MG-34 deployment gained immediate authority, as their ability to coordinate bursts, cover advances, and control fields of fire could determine outcomes. Strategically, the MG-34 enabled innovations in blitzkrieg doctrine. Rapid, coordinated attacks combined infantry, tanks, and artillery in ways previously impossible. Its portability allowed infantry to advance alongside armored columns, suppressing enemy positions and providing a protective screen. Commanders recognized that speed and firepower, centralized in a single weapon, could disrupt defensive lines before they could respond effectively. Training manuals emphasized not only mechanical operation, but tactical integration. Leaders learned that positioning, timing, and communication were as critical as firing skill. A single MG-34, placed at the right elevation and coordinated with supporting squads, could turn a defensive strongpoint into a hollow shell. This integration of leadership, discipline, and technology elevated the MG-34 from a weapon to a tool of strategic leverage. Moral/psychological angle. The psychological impact of the MG-34 was profound. For the German infantrymen, it was a source of confidence. The ability to unleash continuous, controlled fire gave soldiers the sense that they could dominate any engagement. Morale increased when squads knew that the weapon at their center could protect them, suppress enemy advances, and allow coordinated maneuvering with minimal exposure. Conversely, facing an MG-34 had a demoralizing effect on enemies. Witnessing the precise, continuous bursts could sap willpower even before casualties occurred. Memoirs from early campaigns describe the chilling realization that retreat or advance carried equal risk. The staccato rhythm of the MG-34, the flash of muzzle fire, and the relentless sound of incoming rounds became symbols of German technological dominance and tactical efficiency. Moral questions also emerged within the German ranks. The weapon's effectiveness made lethal outcomes almost inevitable. It removed human hesitation, allowing a single operator to inflict significant casualties. Commanders and soldiers were aware of this power, and it shaped both training and battlefield conduct. While some viewed it as a necessary instrument of war, others recognized the cold efficiency with which it could end life, a reminder of the human cost behind engineering brilliance. The MG-34 had proven itself technologically, tactically, and psychologically. Its influence was felt across squads, armies, and borders. Yet, its true potential would only be tested in the crucible of full-scale conflict. From Poland to France, and eventually the vast Eastern Front, the weapon would face its ultimate trial: sustained combat against determined opponents, in conditions that would push both men and machines to the limit. The next chapter of its story is the battlefield itself, where the MG-34 would move from prototype and training ground to decisive force, shaping the tempo of warfare and cementing its legacy as the template for every modern machine gun. September 1, 1939. Dawn breaks over the fields of Poland, a pale gray light illuminating the tense silence before the storm. German divisions move with precision, armored columns advancing alongside infantry squads. At the heart of each infantry unit, the MG-34 hums with potential energy, carried by a young soldier who knows that his weapon will shape the first moments of battle. The invasion of Poland marked the MG-34's first true test. In villages, forests, and open plains, German squads relied on the gun's versatility. Lightly mounted on bipods, it advanced with troops, providing suppressive fire that allowed infantry to flank entrenched positions. On open fields, tripod-mounted MG-34s laid down sustained fire, cutting through Polish resistance with alarming efficiency. Observers noted that even small squads, when armed with the MG-34, could dominate terrain previously considered defensible. In the town of Kragenty, cavalry units attempting a counterattack were met with a wall of rapid fire. The MG-34's rate of fire, combined with precise targeting, neutralized mounted charges before they reached infantry lines. Polish soldiers later described the experience as disorienting. The sound of the weapon, the flash of muzzle fire, and the relentless rhythm of rounds created a psychological barrier as potent as the bullets themselves. German commanders marveled at the adaptability of the weapon. A single squad could perform the role of an entire heavy machine gun section, and its mobility allowed for dynamic positioning under fire. Tactical manuals now emphasized fire and maneuver at the squad level, relying on MG-34 operators to dictate enemy movement. The machine gun was no longer a supporting weapon. It was the spearhead of the infantry assault. The MG-34's effectiveness was not merely anecdotal. Reports from September campaigns indicate that German squads armed with these weapons achieved a disproportionately high kill-to-loss ratio. In defensive positions, a single MG-34 could hold a village against multiple counterattacks, while in offensive operations, it provided continuous covering fire, enabling rapid advances with minimal casualties. Its impact was magnified by German tactical doctrine. Blitzkrieg relied on speed, coordination, and firepower. The MG-34's high rate of fire allowed infantry to suppress enemy positions, while tanks and mechanized units breached lines elsewhere. In essence, it became the linchpin of the combined arms strategy. Commanders could orchestrate assaults with confidence, knowing that the weapon at each squad's center could pin, suppress, and destroy as needed. The Eastern Front would later see these principles tested on an even larger scale. Early skirmishes demonstrated the MG-34's capacity to dominate both urban and rural environments. In forests, squads could set ambushes, laying down bursts that forced enemy units to retreat or be annihilated. In open plains, its mobility and sustained fire allowed infantry to keep pace with armored units, a critical factor in Germany's initial successes. Yet the weapon was not invincible. Operators faced the challenges of barrel overheating and mechanical wear, particularly during prolonged engagements. Soldiers had to master rapid barrel changes, maintain lubrication, and coordinate with other squads to prevent exposure. These demands elevated the MG-34 from mere equipment to a test of human skill, discipline, and endurance. By the end of the Polish campaign, the MG-34 had proven itself beyond question. It was not just a machine gun, it was a revolution in infantry warfare. Its performance influenced commanders, strategies, soldiers' morale, and enemy tactics. The lessons learned in Poland, the importance of suppressive fire, mobility, and squad integration, would be applied in France, Norway, and eventually the vast expanses of the Eastern Front. The weapon's true potential, however, would only be revealed in larger, more brutal engagements. Battles with entrenched enemies, urban warfare, and mechanized clashes demanded sustained firepower and tactical flexibility. The MG-34 was about to face its ultimate trial, where its engineering, its human operators, and German tactical innovation would collide with the chaos and intensity of total war. The stage was set for history to test the limits of a $100 German machine gun. Its performance in Poland had been remarkable, but the crucible of Europe's major battlefields would determine whether it was merely a technological marvel or a weapon capable of shaping the entire course of the war. May 10, 1940. The German Wehrmacht launches its assault on France. Lightning strikes across the Ardennes, a swift, unexpected maneuver that bypasses the heavily fortified Maginot Line. At the forefront of each infantry unit, the MG-34 asserts its deadly presence. Soldiers move with precision, coordinating fire and movement, while the weapon lays down a relentless stream of rounds that pins French defenders in villages, forests, and open fields. In the early hours near Sedan, a single MG-34, mounted on a tripod, covers an entire valley. Its bursts shred barricades and machine gun nests, forcing defenders into trenches and slowing reinforcements. Infantry squads exploit this advantage, flanking positions that would have been impregnable only days before. The MG-34's rate of fire, combined with its mobility, transforms the battlefield into a network of lethal points of control. As the German advance continues, urban engagements reveal another dimension of the MG-34's power. In towns like Abbeville and Arras, soldiers use it to clear streets, suppress snipers, and secure crossroads. Its ability to switch between automatic and single-shot fire allows for precise suppression in tight quarters, minimizing the need for heavy artillery while maintaining devastating effectiveness. Commanders rely on it not just for killing power, but for shaping enemy movements, creating corridors for armor and infantry to penetrate deeper into occupied territory. The psychological impact on both sides is profound. French and British soldiers, encountering the weapon in multiple engagements, note the staccato rhythm of its fire, the flash of its muzzle, and the seeming impossibility of flanking it quickly. Letters from the front describe it as the heartbeat of German squads, a force that dictates the tempo and outcome of engagements. The MG-34's reputation spreads faster than the Wehrmacht itself, influencing Allied planning and morale. By 1941, the Eastern Front presents the ultimate test. Vast plains, dense forests, and frozen rivers create environments that challenge both man and machine. In Operation Barbarossa, the MG-34's versatility is on full display. Mounted on sleds to traverse snow, carried across rivers, or positioned in defensive foxholes, it allows German infantry to maintain pressure over extended fronts. Soviet units, though resilient, often find themselves pinned by a single weapon, unable to advance without sustaining heavy casualties. The MG-34's influence extends to combined arms warfare. Coordinated with artillery and tanks, it enables fast-moving armored spearheads. Infantry can secure villages, clear forests, and hold positions while mechanized units exploit breakthroughs. German doctrine now emphasizes flexibility and integration. The MG-34 is no longer a weapon assigned to squads, but a central pillar in the orchestration of entire operations. Yet the battlefield also exposes limitations. Sustained high-rate fire can overheat barrels, and in the mud of the Eastern Front, jams and malfunctions test operators, skill and discipline. Soldiers must maintain rigorous cleaning routines, swap barrels under pressure, and coordinate ammunition resupply. These human factors highlight that even a revolutionary weapon is inseparable from the men who wield it. Skill, training, and courage remain as crucial as technology. Across Europe, the MG-34 inspires imitation and adaptation. Captured weapons are studied in Britain, the United States, and the Soviet Union. Engineers note its simplicity, modularity, and rate of fire, and begin designing weapons that emulate its strengths. From the Soviet PK series to Western post-war machine guns, the influence of the MG-34 is unmistakable, a single design philosophy reshaping small arms development worldwide. By 1942, the MG-34 is ubiquitous across German divisions. Its presence defines squad organization, tactical doctrine, and the tempo of operations. Battles like Moscow, Stalingrad, and the early North African campaigns demonstrate that a well-placed MG-34 can turn the tide locally, even if the larger strategic picture remains contested. Its reputation grows, not merely for lethality, but for reliability, adaptability, and the capacity to serve as a cornerstone of modern infantry warfare. In this crucible of war, the MG-34 proves itself more than a prototype or a weapon. It becomes a template. It demonstrates that ingenuity, precision engineering and tactical integration can redefine the battlefield. Soldiers learn to fear and respect it, commanders learn to rely on it, and enemy armies learn to adapt to it. The decisive battles of Poland, France, and the Eastern Front solidify the MG-34's legacy. It is a weapon born of necessity, refined by innovation, and tested in the most brutal theaters of war. Yet the story does not end on the battlefield. The consequences of its design, deployment, and psychological impact would echo long after the guns fell silent, influencing both the outcomes of war and the evolution of military technology. By 1943, the MG-34 had proven its decisive role across multiple theaters of war. German infantry, trained to exploit its firepower, had used it to devastating effect in Poland, France, the Balkans, North Africa, and the early stages of the Eastern Front. Commanders noted its ability to dictate engagements. One well-positioned MG-34 could halt advances, secure flanks, or enable breakthroughs. Its success, however, came at a cost, not only in lives, but in the physical toll on the weapon itself and the industrial effort required to maintain it in the field. Reports from German field units indicated high operational reliability, yet the air-cooled barrel could overheat under prolonged firing. Soldiers were trained to perform rapid barrel changes, a task that, while manageable, demanded discipline and practice. Supply lines struggled to keep pace with ammunition consumption, as MG-34s firing hundreds of rounds per minute could deplete magazines faster than infantry or logistics personnel anticipated. Even so, these challenges were outweighed by the weapon's effectiveness. Its ability to suppress, pin, and eliminate enemy forces reshaped combat at the squad level. The weapon's influence extended beyond its immediate battlefield performance. Captured MG-34s became objects of study for Allied forces. British intelligence examined the air-cooled design and the precision of its modular components. French engineers analyzed its bipod and tripod versatility. Soviet units, particularly on the Eastern Front, salvaged and reverse-engineered examples, incorporating aspects of its design into later machine guns. The MG-34, in essence, became the standard by which automatic weapons were measured globally. Operational reports highlighted a consistent pattern. Units equipped with MG-34s demonstrated higher kill ratios, increased maneuverability, and more effective suppression fire compared to units relying on older machine gun models. Field manuals emphasized the integration of the MG-34 with combined arms tactics, demonstrating how a squad's firepower could be multiplied by supporting artillery and armor. Commanders recognized that a single weapon could alter the outcome of engagements, making it indispensable not just tactically, but strategically. Despite its battlefield dominance, the MG-34 revealed limitations that would inform future designs. Its precision engineering required skilled maintenance. Components were sensitive to dirt, mud, and extreme conditions. In protracted campaigns on the Eastern Front, the gun's intricate tolerances meant that inexperienced operators could render it inoperable through improper cleaning or handling. These factors drove the development of the MG-42, which simplified production, increased durability, and further raised the rate of fire. Lessons learned directly from the MG-34's frontline performance. Yet even as the MG-34 gave way to improvements, its legacy remained clear. It had introduced the concept of a multi-role machine gun capable of both light and sustained fire, integrated into squad-level tactics. Its influence extended to enemy forces, prompting a reevaluation of small arms design worldwide. Intelligence reports, captured weapons, and battlefield observations shaped future generations of automatic weapons, from the Soviet PK series to Western post-war machine guns. The human dimension of the aftermath was equally significant. Soldiers on both sides carried memories of facing or wielding the MG-34. For Germans, It was a source of confidence and tactical advantage. For allies, it became a benchmark, a weapon to respect, fear, and learn from. Memoirs, letters, and operational diaries repeatedly mention its psychological impact, a constant, rhythmic reminder of the lethal efficiency of German infantry. As the war progressed, the MG-34 transitioned from a revolutionary weapon of early campaigns to a symbol of doctrinal innovation. It reshaped small unit tactics, informed combined arms strategy, and set a new standard for machine guns worldwide. Its lessons would echo far beyond World War II, influencing designs, doctrines, and the very philosophy of infantry firepower for decades to come. The MG-34's performance in battle, its adaptability, and its technological ingenuity paved the way for its successor, the MG-42, while also leaving an indelible mark on military history. Yet the story was not over. Its influence would spread even further, shaping weapons, tactics, and armies around the world in the post-war era. The influence of the MG-34 extended far beyond the German army and the battlefields of Europe. Captured examples found their way into Allied hands, where engineers and military analysts meticulously studied the weapon. Its modular design, high rate of fire, and dual-role functionality, both light and sustained fire, became a template for modern machine guns. Reports from British ordnance officers in 1940 noted that the efficiency and versatility of this single weapon far exceed any comparable infantry arm in current service. In the Soviet Union, the MG-34 informed the development of future light and general-purpose machine guns. The Soviet PK series, introduced in the post-war years, reflected lessons learned from its German counterpart: robust air-cooled barrels, high cyclic rates, and simplified maintenance for reliability in harsh conditions. Across the Atlantic, the United States and Britain integrated elements of its design philosophy into subsequent infantry weapons, emphasizing portability, rapid deployment, and multi-role capability. The MG-34's legacy, in essence, became the foundation upon which the modern automatic weapon was built. Industrial and logistical considerations further amplified its impact. The German focus on producing a machine gun at roughly $100 per unit demonstrated the power of cost-effective mass production without compromising precision. Nations seeking to modernize their armies recognized that firepower could be multiplied not only through design, but through manufacturing efficiency. The MG-34 illustrated a critical lesson. Technological superiority must be paired with industrial capacity to truly shape the battlefield. Allied commanders took note of its battlefield psychology as well. Memoirs from the North African campaign describe how Italian and British troops reacted to German squads armed with MG-34s, often pausing advances under the staccato thunder of fire. Its presence was as much a deterrent as it was a weapon. Observers concluded that morale, coordination, and psychological resilience were as influenced by the weapon as by the number of soldiers or tanks deployed. Post-war, the MG-34's design philosophy continued to resonate. The rise of general-purpose machine guns in NATO and Warsaw-pact armies reflected a direct lineage to the German innovation of the 1930s. Weapons like the German MG42, the Belgian FN Mag, and the American M60 all borrowed concepts first perfected in Sewell's workshops: air-cooled barrels, quick-change mechanisms, and adaptability for multiple combat roles. Even decades later, the influence of a $100 German machine gun could be traced in conflicts across Asia, Africa, and the Americas. Yet beyond technical specifications and battlefield effectiveness, the MG-34 left a profound imprint on military thinking. It demonstrated that a single well-designed weapon could redefine squad tactics, influence enemy behavior, and serve as a central component in combined arms operations. Its introduction forced both Germany and its adversaries to rethink infantry doctrine, prioritizing mobility, coordination, and firepower integration. The MG34 also symbolized the broader interplay between innovation, necessity, and human ingenuity. Born from the constraints of the Treaty of Versailles, refined in workshops, and tested in the crucible of global conflict, it showed that technological advancement is inseparable from tactical and strategic vision. Commanders, engineers, and soldiers all contributed to a weapon whose legacy would endure long after the war's guns fell silent. By the mid-1940s, the MG34 had moved from a revolutionary battlefield tool to a historical benchmark. Its successors would improve on rate of fire, durability, and ease of production, yet the foundational principles remained unchanged. Across continents and generations, the $100 German machine gun had reshaped not only the way armies fought, but the very design philosophy of modern automatic weapons. The story of the MG34 now transitions from battles and reports to reflection. Its innovations, successes, and influence raise broader questions about war, technology, and human ingenuity, themes that resonate far beyond the fields of Europe, where it first proved its deadly worth. The MG34 was more than a machine gun. It was a turning point in the philosophy of warfare. Born from constraint, crafted with precision, and tested in the crucible of global conflict, it demonstrated how innovation could reshape not only tactics, but entire armies. In the hands of German infantry, it became a force multiplier, dictating the rhythm of engagements and allowing small units to wield unprecedented firepower. Its influence extended far beyond bullets and belts of ammunition. It shaped strategy, morale, and the psychology of both attacker and defender. Across continents, armies took note. Engineers dissected its mechanisms, strategists studied its deployment, and future generations of weapons designers carried forward its principles. The MG34's combination of adaptability, reliability, and efficiency became a template for general-purpose machine guns worldwide. It proved that technological ingenuity, when paired with disciplined training and tactical doctrine, could redefine the human experience of combat. Yet the weapon also serves as a sober reminder of war's human cost. Each round it fired carried the weight of life and death, of calculated precision, and the chaos of battle. Its efficiency made it both a marvel of engineering and a grim instrument of destruction. Soldiers who wielded it and those who faced it were bound by its power, their experiences forever shaped by the relentless rhythm of its fire. Today, the MG34 stands as a symbol of ingenuity born from necessity. It is a bridge between the industrial age of World War I and the modern warfare of the 20th century. Its legacy endures not just in the weapons that followed, but in the lessons it taught, that innovation, adaptability, and human skill are inseparable on the battlefield, and that even a single machine gun, engineered for just $100, can leave an indelible mark on history. The $100 German machine gun, born in the quiet workshops of Seoul, transformed the face of warfare and became a standard against which every future design would be measured. Its story is a testament to the power of human ingenuity, the weight of technology in war, and the enduring interplay between man, machine, and the battlefield.